Hi everyone, welcome to the tutorial series about JDBC titled as Simply JDBC. In today's presentation, we will see methods which is related to the CRUD operation, and the method that we are going to see is related to the read. So R. So R stands for read records. So in this R, you are going to have two categories or two types of reading. One is you will read all the records that are present in the table, so that is called as list of records. That's why it is highlighted here as read records. It's list. That means if you have say 10 entries, then all the 10 entries will be shown in one go, or it will be read in one go. So that is particular, it stands for listing, or it's a list of records. The second one is actually about reading a single record. So in today's presentation, we will see both these things, that is reading records, that is list of record, as well as reading a single record. So let's get going. So we have written the method db read records. In that, it's going to take two parameters. So one will be the URL of the DB and then the name of the table. Then we have created references for these different classes. So one is the statement, which is statement. It's basically part of the jar file, that is part of the connector. Okay, so that is part of the MySQL connector jar file. So that's why we have imported java.sql.star. So this statement is equal to null. Then result set is again a class that is provided as part of this particular package, that is java.sql. Then connection is again connection object. We will be using it later. So connection con, we have created a reference which is null, and then we are going to use a flag which is a boolean, which will decide whether the method should return a success or basically a true or false. So essentially it's the return type or the return that will be decided whether the reading of record is successful or not. So this is the read records. Please note this records. Let's go with the code now. So the first step when you want to access a JDBC is to register the JDBC driver. So we are, again, as I have mentioned you earlier, so we are going to make use of the class.forName, that is a method, and which requires a string. So in my previous presentation, I already have told you about JDBC driver, which is a static final string which points to the where the database is located. So first step is you register, and so that the driver gets loaded. Then once the driver has been loaded, you basically get the connection object. So there you require the URL for the database as well as the login, that is password, and the login, that is login and password you will require. So get connection method, you require 3 parameters. So once your connection object is available to you, then you will create the statement. So that statement object will be created by using con.create statement. So again, these are the standard steps. So step number 3 is to create the statement object. Then you need to execute a query. So as a part of reading records, the query that you are going to execute will be select star from employee or select star from a table name. So that query will be executed, and the table name is provided as part of calling this method. So this is a parameter. So rs is a result state. So statement.execute query, and then in bracket it takes one parameter, which is a SQL statement. So once this line is executed, that is the fourth step is executed, you are going to get a result set as a iterator or a list of records. So now our job is to extract that data. So let's say there are 5 records, then you are going to get 5 records. So that's why it has to be an infinite loop, and automatically it will terminate when the next is equal to null. So rs.next, the next is a method that is part of the result set. So you are going to use rs.next in the loop. So you iterate like you first read the employee ID, then you read the name of the employee. So these are the methods which are standard methods on the result set: get int as well as get string. You can always pass instead of hard coding it like employee ID and name, you can always pass these as a parameter, so that method becomes truly generic. So rs.getInt, and then name is equal to rs.getString. Once you get the name and ID, you can print it. Then you will close the result set, and you are going to close the statement. Please be careful, we are not closing the connection. The connection closing is a separate step. Here we just have closed the result set as well as the statement object that was created. Then there will be if there is a exception, then you need to provide that facility to catch the exception. So there is an SQL exception which is of importance here, because we are doing SQL operations. And then if other than any SQL operation is there, then it can be caught in general exception E. Then coming to the finally block, which is the most important block. Here you will be checking whether the connection object is not equal to null. If it is not equal to null, then you are going to close the connection. So this is the right place to close the connection. Then you can have exception. If you are having an issue with closing the connection, then you can always have a catch, and then where you can print the stack. So this is in general about reading the record, that is multiple records from the database table. Now we will come to the second category of reading, that is read a single record. So that's why the name of the method here is written as db read single record. Is going to take again the URL table, a database URL and a table name, and few more parameters, because we require the key name as well as the ID, that is the for what single record we need to read the record. So this is the primary key. So again we have created the references statement, then result set and connection, and then the flag that will be used to decide whether the reading is successful or failure. In the same step, so we first register the driver, then you open a connection, then you create a statement object, then you will be creating a query. So now here you can see the difference with respect to the previous query was just select star from table. Now here select star from table where key name, that is the employee ID, is equal to some employee number. So say for example 1001, 1002, like that. So select star from table name where employee ID is equal to 1001. Okay, so that's say query. So that query we need to execute it. So we will be again invoking the same call, that is rs is equal to statement.execute query, and we'll pass the query SQL statement to it. Now once the query is executed, you are going to get record. Now here ideally loop is only executed once, so per se loop is not required, but just to keep a uniformity, because we are only going to get one record. If the query is successful, then we are only going to get one name for a particular ID, because our query is like select star from table where ID is equal to some number. So you are going to get only one name. So once you got the name, then you basically can print the name. And similarly, we will close the result set, we will close the statement, then we will catch the exception if anything comes up, and then in the finally block we will close the connection. So these are the two things that we have covered in today's presentation as part of the reading operation. In the next presentation, we will take the further operations of the CRUD, which will be C, that is inserting of the record. Thank you.